Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Love Island Cast. I am one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris. It's great to be back. We've had a day off and we've got a couple of episodes to catch up on, and it's all hotting up now, isn't it? So where do you want to start?
Well, we get the new guys, Dave, in. We get Connagh and Finlay coming in. Now, Connagh, model, he's got everything about him. Obviously, every single girl was swooning over him. But let's talk now. It's Connagh with a G. Now, Connagh with an R is also Connagh with a C-O-C-K in his name, because this lad who's with Sophie, he's a fucking knobhead. And Sophie, what is going on with her, Dave? I was screaming at the telly like, are you fucking stupid? You've got the chance to bin this clown off. And she was still saying, oh, I still want a bit of Connagh. And I'm like, I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. Whether she's the type of person who likes a challenge as in a lost cause and she's trying to help the guy, or I don't get it. For me, he's just insecure and he's just a controlling. I'm sorry to say it, but I think he's a bit of a bully, to be honest. He's a right slapped ass.
I think he is. There's something going on there. He is massively insecure, and that's manifesting itself in really negative behaviour. I mean, he's. Let's call it out. So we've got Connagh with a G. You know, Connagh with an R. Let's call it out. It's Big Connagh and Little Connagh.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he should when he had that initial kind of blowout, right from day one, he was like, "You're digging me out," straight away. He was being a fucking knobsock. And then even when Sophie was joking around a bit that we've got some new boys coming in, he was being a prick again. The only reason he sort of climbed down off his high horse there is because she got asked out for a date, and then he's sort of thinking, "Oh shit, I've got to be on my best behaviour." So then the apologies come, and then the admittance that, "Oh yeah, I was being a bit of a prick then." And so you're sort of thinking, on the face of it, okay, he's made a mistake, and then he's apologising for it. But I'm sorry, it's the only reason he's doing that is because he feels threatened by the other bloke, and I think he's a nasty piece of work, mate.
I do. I honestly do. I think it's gone from being sort of petulant and a bit thingy. Any slight criticism towards him, even in a jokey fashion. I'm not saying like I agree with people being singled out or anything, but he gives as good as he gets. And as soon as he gets any I don't know, sort of counter argument or counter joke at him. Sam said tonight, she said, I know it sounds daft. She said, but you don't see many blokes with a resting bitch face, but he has got one, and she's right. He has. He's just like, he's fucking idiot. I mean, he's a cross. I sent you, we were trying to work out how he looked like. He's a cross between, in my opinion, a guy called Christopher Maloney, who's on the X Factor UK. So if you don't know who he is around the world, anybody who's listening, our worldwide listeners, just put Christopher Maloney X Factor in, and he has a coiffed hairline like Connagh. Or I also think he's got a bit of the Rob Brydon's in him, Dave, as well. He's got that sort of weird look about him, but he's just so superficial and needy. I'm just like, Sophie, you don't need that in your life. Just please walk away. She seems too nice to me.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's had that done to his teeth, and it looks odd to me because he hasn't had the bottom ones done, and it just, like I say, you said right at the first episode, didn't we, that it's like he glows in the dark, you imagine. But, he'd have gone through a lot of pain and everything to have that done. And it just, for me, it's an indicator of someone who's very insecure about themselves and not really happy with themselves. And I just think, you know what? He should thank his lucky fucking stars that Sophie's not binned him off completely already. But he keeps trying to push it away. And I tell you what, at the recoupling tonight, he was very bitter, wasn't he? So Big Connagh selected Sophie. I think it was kind of shades of what happened last year with Lucy and Joe, and when Tommy split them two up by selecting Lucy.
Yeah.
I think it seems a little bit similar, because I don't know what's going on in her head, but Sophie does seem, at the booty camp, she kissed Little Connagh. Little Connagh with an R, not the Little Connagh. So, it's his to lose. But, guys, if you're listening, the way to not lose a girl, there's lots of different ways, but by acting like a complete fucking tool and a knobsock is pretty much a good way to push her away. And I was glad to see her kind of talking to one of the girls and saying, actually, why am I closing off all my options? It is fucking day 5 now, and it's ridiculous. So, no, I hope she has that realization, sacks little Connor off, and just doesn't look back, because he's got something. He's got some real issues.
Yeah, I don't. To be honest, Dave, I think if it carries on this way, no matter who he gets with, they may have to take him out of the villa. I just don't think he's the right contestant for it.
What do you think this? I mean, we say this, don't we? We highlight negative behaviour. We say they need to be jettisoned from the villa, and then by the time we get to the last week or so, we're like, well, this lot are boring, aren't they?
Yeah, no, yeah.
But what was he on? What do you think he was really on about with those comments? Because when Big Connor chose Sophie and she walked across, when Little Connor got up and he said his words, he was like, "Oh, I feel like I've been a bit snaked," and he's being hard done to, wasn't he? Do you think that was aimed at Big Connor, or do you think that was aimed at Sophie? Because I mean, what the fuck can Sophie do? She's the one being chosen. She can't actually do anything.
No, and I don't understand is they're not a couple, Dave. They are not a couple. Not like in previous Love Islands where they are a couple and you have had lads or girls come in and split proper couples. It's like we are boyfriend and girlfriend. We have none of that. I think you're right, Dave. You're saying that my opinion on it. I don't understand. Have we missed something that's not been edited into the show? Because I can't understand what he's talking about. We've not seen any conversation between the two of them, really. We had a bit of a, come to Jesus moment where they Connor had them ridiculous half-mast pants on. But I genuinely can't understand. I don't think Connor with a G did anything. I honestly, at the top of my head, I could be wrong, but I don't think there was anything where little Connor was like, hands off, she's my girl, and big Connor was like, well, I'm not going to go for Sophie. I didn't hear that conversation. So the whole nature of the show is to find love, and it's fair fucks at the end of the day, Dave.
Yeah, it's Love Island. But what the fuck does he expect to happen?
Exactly.
The new blokes, do they come in and go, oh, everyone's coupled up? Oh, fucking hell. I guess I'll go home then. There's something wrong with him. So I'll be honest, Chris, I think those words were aimed at Sophie. And I think, again, I don't think he's got the balls to actually say anything to Big Connor. And you're right. I think he just comes across to me, he's insecure, and it manifests itself in bullying behaviour. I said that, I'm sure I said the other day, we've not seen him be like that with any of the blokes. It's just with Sophie. And I think, have a fucking word with yourself.
Oh, and not just that. I think fucking Connagh G would probably drop him anyway, the clown, you know what I mean? He shouldn't resort to that. He's just an idiot, an absolute idiot. And then moving on from that, Dave, I just mean hopefully that gets resolved with this dick and he gets kicked off, as far in my opinion, and in yours, obviously. But Callum, he's gone from being one of the strongest guys in there to being absolutely, Sean has played an absolute blinder with him. And he's now, I mean, she was loving it, wasn't she? She was like, I've got the two fittest guys in the villa chasing round after me. She couldn't believe it because Connor with a G, he did make a play for it, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly, I wasn't sure which way he was going to go at that recoupling. So he's gone with Sophie. But I mean, let's face it, I think he could have picked any of the girls and they'd have been happy.
Yeah, he's a good looking.
I think someone tweeted us tonight and said, that's Connor's basically everyone's type. And I responded and just said, yeah, I think he's mine as well. I mean, he is a tasty dish. He's got everything, hasn't he? But yeah, so Callum, I'm reflecting back on this first week now, and I think, obviously he went with the twins. He was fairly upfront about the kiss with Shauna before he went on the date. I actually think, looking back at that, Mike was probably actually the one who was a bit more up for that date with the twins. And then he's done a 180, hasn't he? Or a 520, whatever Tommy said last year. So I'm reflecting on it and thinking, well, has Callum actually done anything wrong? I'm not sure. Is it? I think he might. I think he's been fairly honest and upfront. But I tell you what, when Shauna, I mean, I'm not sure she's played a blinder, but she's found herself in this great position. But I've got to say, Callum looked a bit of a knob, didn't he? Because it's not his fault, but essentially, Shauna is just there salivating over Connagh working out in the gym. You've got this 6'2" strapping lad working out there. He's like, can you help me box and whatever? It's like, yeah. And then Callum comes over. It's like, how do you want your eggs? And making her
Yeah.
breakfast. So, yeah, I mean, Callum's ended up picking Shauna anyway. So I think after this little wrinkle, and the shoe being on the other foot, I think in week 2 they could go from strength to strength. So I think Shauna was just giving it back a bit. She'd found herself out in the cold, a bit of a spare wheel, and she was just making sure Callum understood that she's not a doormat.
No. And just before we get to the recoupling bit, Dave, I may have been on my phone last night or my laptop when the show was on, so we're still watching it. We all get distracted. I'm terrible for having my phone going or whatever. Twitter, we both police our Twitter, don't we? So we put your stuff out there and that. And then the booty camp happened, Dave. And I tried my hardest not to let my eyes pop out of my head, and I tried to be a bit more, not like Sam see that I'd literally gone from being slouched on the sofa to being fucking sat right up there watching it, and I didn't miss any part
Cushion
of
on
that
your
section. No, mine's me nose gets bigger, Dave. But anyway, genuinely, that was one of the highlights of the show for me, I've got to say.
I mean, my word, what can you say about that without coming across like a sleazy bloke? I mean, it was gratuitous, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, Dave. But I mean,
I tell you what, as well. There's some, I said the other day that Naz is kind of like last year's Anton without the David Brent one-liners. I think he comes across like just a quite chilled out, friendly guy, but just none of the girls are interested in him. And but I tell you what, he was putting some welly into those balloon throws, wasn't he?
yeah. You fucking pick me, whack. Yeah, it was proper throw because they started off quite sort of nice, and even Callum in the next minute they were just kicking the shit out of the girls, weren't they? I think one of the twins got one right across the cheek. It was a right fucking corker of a shot. But Dave, as you go on talk about the actual voting off and the recoupling, I've got to say I'm fucking so glad that one of the girls got voted off, one of the twins. It was Eve, wasn't it? I am so glad because we now know that Jess is because I still couldn't tell a fucking difference between either of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's that, but there's also the fact they're just inseparable, aren't they? So just, yeah. I'll be honest. I mean, it's kind of you feel a bit upset for them, because they clearly spend, in the outside world, they probably spend like all their time in each other's pockets as well. We saw it with the boys in the Australian Love Island as well, and so it is a bit emotional, isn't it, when you see them having to separate there? But yeah, I'm just glad one of them's gone now, and Naz kind of had his pick in the end, didn't he? So he just basically he was like, "Woohoo! I get another chance with someone, anyone."
Yeah.
And he'd spent slightly more time with one than the other.
Yeah, exactly. Now, Dave, we have had a couple of emails and a couple of reviews, but some two belting emails, I've got to say. So the first one is off Dan Clark Hall. Hi guys, and his title of the email, which made us both laugh, is "What a bunch of pricks." Now I don't know if he means me and you, Dave, or that hopefully he means the Islanders. But anyway,
could mean multiple things, I'm sure.
I'm sure there's plenty of people listening say that about us. But anyway, he's put, "Hi guys, great to be listening to you two again. Couldn't bear to get involved with the US and Australia as Love Island controls too much of my life already. Just some thoughts on a few of the Islanders. Still think Mikey's playing it too well to be legit. Sean is a bit of a bellend, but seems pretty genuine. Princess Jasmine can fuck off. Sophie's either too nice or too stupid. Naz is the poor man's Kem, who's the guy who hosts the Love Island podcast from series 3.
Mhm.
Ollie actually left because he found out. Oh, this is a bad one. Ollie, I did laugh at this, Dave. Ollie actually left because he found out Connagh has a bigger body count. That's little Connagh. And that, just to confirm, that's little Connagh, and I've got to tend to agree. Cheers for the laughs, Dan. That's fucking brilliant. And then I want to read this one out because this is more my that's brilliant. My mistake. This is from Lorraine O'Connor. I'm so sorry about this. So for some stupid reason, I've watched the Aussie one, both series. I've watched The Bachelorette on Australia. And I'm calling the presenter Sophie Turner. I don't know why, Dave, but I was. I don't know what happened, but her name is Sophie Monk. And I fucking know. I don't know why. But anyway, Lorraine's messaged in, and hers was entitled Sophie Monk, ! 4 times, and she's right. I'm sorry, Lorraine. I'm sorry, everyone else, if you were going mad, going, it's fucking Sophie Monk, Chris. I'm loving your podcast and living Oz. It's Sophie Monk, not Sophie Turner. I'm so sorry. The UK Love Island surpasses the Oz Love Island, Lorraine. Now, I've got to say, Dave, we both said this. There's just something about, and you know, I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but you have said, I mean, I'll pass it over to you. What have you said about the English Love Island? And I tend to agree, to be honest.
Just that we've got a bigger collection of twats.
Yeah, 100%, just to put it mildly.
So everyone's just nice people, it seems, in the American and Australian one, and we just have these, you know, just the narcissism levels are just a bit more, it seems, and so, you know, all of the conflict, it's all come out a bit sooner, and yeah, I mean, we enjoyed the US and Australian ones, didn't we? But it seemed in comparison quite bland, and I don't know if it's in the recruiting the right people, or just, you know, we have just got more narcissistic arseholes than everywhere else.
No, and I think you're right. I mean, maybe it's like a muscle memory thing, Dave, because like we've said before, haven't we? Or I've been quite adamant as a bit of a Love Island super fan, but I've said about the way things have progressed from like the first 2 series of the UK one. But we know, and we both said the US one was so watered down, and it was only on for 4 weeks, which luckily they have commissioned it. I don't know whether they have like a bit of a thing with the US one where they can't run it for long, but the impact of someone leaving or a couple splitting up meant absolutely fuck all in the US one, because we literally had 2 weeks of people just getting voted off, didn't we? Every night someone was getting voted off. So it had less of an impact like it does with the UK one, because obviously when someone gets voted off, someone else comes in and they recouple and it's all forgotten about. And, you know, very much like what Lucy was doing last year and stuff when Joe got kicked off. And it had that impact. Yeah, we know about that. The only thing good about them 2, Dave, was nothing really, actually. Now I think about it. But anyway,
I wondered where you were going with that. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, no.
I can't think of anything.
No, I can't either. But the Aussie one was very diluted, and towards the end, we just didn't give a shit watching it because it just really went off the Aussie one for some reason, this series. But this, yeah, I just agree. There's just some absolutely fucking nut jobs in this UK one, and it's a fine line between entertainment and just, you know, you love a bit of cringe. I love a bit of looking through my fingers type thing, some cringy fucker. But there's a fine line with this Connagh lad, so we'll see how it progresses. Now, Dave, have you got the 2 reviews we've had?
I have, so thank you very much. We called out, you know, if someone could help us. We're currently lagging way behind the official podcast. Of course, we'll never ever catch them, but it'd be nice to get a little bit closer than what we are today. So a couple of people have sent us through some reviews. So the first one is says it like it is. Love this podcast. The guys are so funny. I look forward to listening to this as much as watching the show. And that's from Miss Ellie. And that's in the UK store. So thank you so much, Ellie. That's absolutely brilliant. And we've also got one from the US as well. So this one's subject funny. And it says, I'm so glad I found these 2 fun times. And so that is from Lam Joannie.
So if you do want to send in an email or you do want to send a review, at Love Island Cast on Twitter, and the email address is theloveislandcast@gmail.com. If you do want to drop us a review, on your podcast catching app, just get over there. And if you've got time, drop myself and Dave a review in the show. It just helps us grow and gets us out there. So, Dave, another great episode. Brilliant. Enjoyed it this last week. It's hotting up. And it just gives me a bit more of Love Island, because we've got a few cycles in there and a few bits of love triangles. And that's exactly what I want, Dave.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Chris. And I'll speak to you again next week.
See you now.